Hello, this is Stories and Spoilers, the podcast, and I'm here for a very fun, wintry episode with the author of a really amazing story that just came out. By the time this comes out, it'll already be out. This is Secret Spells and Chocolate. And without further ado, this is Miss Churchill. Tell them a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, Alyssa. Yeah, so I am a professionally trained chef. I spent over a decade of my career working in fine dining in San Francisco. I was also a competitor on Top Chef season two, and I competed multiple times on Food Network Challenge. And I'm also a cookbook author. So, of course, some of my inspiration for this book did come from my experiences in the kitchen and also on the battlefield, known as culinary competitions.
If you don't mind me asking, how did your experience with Top Chef link to Secret Spells and Chocolate?
Oh, you are diving in deep right
I
away.
am.
Yes, yes. So I will say that Food Network inspired me more in an emotional way. That's why I'm going
Mm.
there first. Top Chef. So the CCS, the Council of Culinary Sages, some of that was inspired actually by Top Chef.
Oh, wow.
Because look, there's actually a lot of camaraderie between the chefs on the show. I still keep in touch with a lot of those chefs. But it's a bit of a mind game, and it's rough. You sign a contract. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm just going to say it. You sign a contract that you shows that what they show may not be truthful or display you in a fair or flattering light.
Mm.
So I kind of liken that. I'm so glad I did the show. Don't get me wrong. But I always kind of liken it to making a deal with the devil.
Oh, wow.
So it was kind of that theme for me in the book. And there are definitely some devils at the CCS. So kind of making your own deals in the book with those devils to get what you want.
Ooh. For folks who are just finding out about Secret Spells and Chocolate, can you tell them a little bit about what this story holds and what they have to look forward to?
Yes. So there, it's at a magical cooking school, and there's also a magical cooking competition. And so part of it was inspired by my experiences during culinary school, but also really tapping into those experiences of what it's like to compete on a cooking show, because there is a lot of pressure. There is, even though you have friends, you're also competing with those friends.
Mm.
Um, and there's a nonfiction book that I absolutely loved called Knives at Dawn, America's Quest for Culinary Glory at the Bocuse d'Or.
Ooh.
Yeah. So if you don't know the Bocuse d'Or and the Coupe du Monde de la Pâtisserie, those were the two competitions that were also inspiration for the book and the Golden Whisk competition that happens in Paris in my book. So the real life competitions happen in Lyon, and they happen every other year. One year it's the Bocuse d'Or, the next is the Coupe du Monde de la Pâtisserie, because the chefs take 2 years to train. It is the biggest throwdown in the culinary world that happens. But reading his nonfiction book, there was so much there too that resonated with me and things that I went through. And, something happened with an ingredient. Was it intentional? Was it unintentional? Oh, I wish I'd done X instead of Y. So there was just so much of that. And then the Coupe du Monde de la Pâtisserie, if you aren't familiar with it, look it up because it is so cool and so insane what you could do with sugar and chocolate. I mean, it feels magical. It looks magical. And so I just wanted to take all those emotions, all of those visuals, and put them into a story.
Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. When I got the little box you sent me with this gorgeous arc, it had a beautiful like fish made of sugar and it had dairy-free chocolate, which I'm so grateful for. And the characters within your story come to life in such a natural way. I was curious about why you selected certain characters to be at the heart of your story. and where that inspiration stems from for you as a chef and just as a friend.
Yeah, the story kind of, well, the way that I write, and I don't know if all writers feel this way, but the story kind of takes on a life of its own at a certain
Mm.
point, and you know that certain characters will say or do certain things, or that it's just pushing you a certain way, and you know that this is meant to be this way. But a lot of the characters were inspired by real life people. So, for example, Madame Godard, who's the headmistress of the school, was inspired by Dominique Crenn. She is the only female chef in the United States to have 3 Michelin stars. And I met her many years ago. I was hosting Battle of the Chefs at Macy's. This was after I competed on Top Chef. And she had such a unique style and she had such confidence. I mean, before the judges even tasted her dish, I think everybody knew she was going to win because she just had this kind of personality. And then Guy Fabry, who is a character in the book, was inspired. I'm not going to say, well, I'm not going to say actually who he was inspired by. Or I don't know, or should we tell people your ears because it could give something away?
I guess it could be a mild spoiler. So let's leave it
I'm a
mysterious. Yeah, we
spoiler.
can leave it mysterious for them. Maybe they
Yeah,
can, for us, for our foodies out there, they can
yeah,
probably guess
yeah.
who it is.
Yes, and I might also be dropping some hints on my Instagram page in my posts. So there we go. There's our mild spoiler.
Mm.
And then, Flora was inspired by Maria Ohelebo, who was a Nigerian pastry assistant that I had when I lived in Greece. So I'm Greek on my mom's side of the family, which is why my last name is Churchill and not Paraskevopoulos, because that's quite a mouthful to say. Well, that probably worked out better for me. But anyway, Maria was just she's somebody, first of all, she just has such a presence to her. And there's, I mean, there's racism here too, but there's also a lot of racism in Greece. And she
Mm.
had to deal with some of that. And she always just kept her head high, always had such class. But she has mad cake decorating skills. I mean, that woman, I mean, she can take cakes, and make them look like other things. You want to make a cake look like a purse. You want to make it look like, I don't know, a shoe. Maria can do those things. So it was really, there were certain characters that I thought, because the food world, there's a lot of diversity in the food world. And I
Mm.
think that that is something that is extremely important. And I really wanted to highlight it in the book because like I said, I lived in Greece for 5 years. It was an amazing experience. But it was also a little bit of a culinary desert. And I didn't really fully appreciate what we have here until I lived there because you want to go and get sushi, you can. It's going to be very average at best. Ramen, forget about it. Dim sum, forget about it. Indian food, again, average at best. Mexican food, oh my God, it was. So we're this melting pot here, and I think that's such an important thing. And if you think about what the food scene was like in America in the 1950s, I mean, we had nothing. What did we have? Hamburgers and French fries and meatloaf.
Mhm.
Um, so I really wanted to bring that into the world of magic because I thought that was something that was really important and that everybody has a contribution there. So yeah, so that was Flora and Sylvie, who's the main character. She's actually inspired a little bit, I think, by myself. I'm not short, but I wasn't, and I cannot ride a skateboard. Let me just say that right now. I will fall on my face. But I was an awkward kid growing up, and my best friend was this kind of quintessential, I mean, I grew up in the 80s in a small town. So, she was the kind of typical pretty girl, blonde hair, blue eyes. Um, so yeah, even though it wasn't a conscious decision there, once it was written and I kind of read through it and also noticed some of Sylvie's stubbornness and other characteristics, I thought, that's kind of reminds me a little bit of what I see in the mirror.
I have heard that from a few authors that they pour a little bit of themselves into their stories, if not people they know. And I
Yeah.
find that really unique. Like you can't help it. You write from people you care about or experiences you had or personal elements of your life. And
Yeah.
it's really unique. It's almost like you find a recipe. Oh, a metaphor, but you find you find a recipe and yes, you're supposed to follow the recipe, but depending on your preference
You
or
don't
like
follow
your allergy,
it.
you
Yes.
know,
Right.
you may change a few things. um like where some
That's
folks may use
great.
butter, I would use vegan butter. Where
Yes.
people may use
Olive
dishes
oil.
like,
Okay.
yeah,
Just
olive
olive
oil,
oil,
you
Mr.
know.
Greek
Yes,
girl.
so many things are so forgiving, and I absolutely adore that. If it's okay, I would love to read the back of this book so I can give the way that it's described pulled me in when I saw it on social media and was part of the reason I originally reached out to you for the podcast. So I
Oh,
just really want to share it with the listeners.
dude,
So
thank
Sylvie
you.
Jones has been dreaming of attending her mom's alma mater, Brindle School of Culinary Arts and Magic, since she was old enough to reach the stove. Unfortunately, her last name has a horrible stain on it, something that could destroy her dream. So when Sylvie is given the opportunity to prove her skills and put an end to the rumors that her mother cheated her way to victory at the most prestigious magical cooking competition, the Golden Whisk, she takes it. But the opportunity may not be all that it's cracked up to be. If Sylvie truly wants to make her own mark and earn a place at Brindle, she needs to uncover the truth about what happened all those years ago. But some will go to great lengths to ensure Sylvie fails, and she soon finds herself tangled in a web of deceit. With the unlikely help of frenemy Georgia Shaw and the rising star student Flora Jackson, Sylvie must find a way to get to the Golden Whisk All Star competition and uncover the past before time runs out. Will she be able to redeem her family's name and save her future? Or will it all end in burnt butter and broken dreams? And I love that this is deeply linked to like at the world's greatest magical cooking school, risks matter just as much as whisks. I thought that was so cute. I couldn't help but while I was reading this story, and for listeners out there, the infamous British Bake Off. Okay, there are certain moments when you're just like, there's a scene from that show where the guy's like, "So what do we have here?" And he's like, "Had a mental breakdown. Bon appetit." And there were so many moments reading your book where I was like, I would cry. Like things go wrong, and you're just like, she has to push through. She has to. And I was wondering when writing this story and writing about the magic system and writing about her wanting to redeem what happened to her mom and the rumors and all of it. If you personally have ever had experience with cooking where things went horribly wrong and you were trying to save it, were you able to save the dish? Was it a got to start from scratch? I want to know a little bit about you on that end.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, like I said, so much of this was inspired by my experiences. And yeah, I mean, even kind of the whether it's, oh, did her mom cheat or did this happen? Social media and rumors about things happening, and after Top Chef, sometimes you'd see things, and but for me, yes, in the kitchen, you were a team, you have each other's backs,
Mm.
but you always look, not all chefs always push through. You see them sometimes, some chefs that break down, some chefs that just don't handle a moment. I remember I was on one competition and the chef, the Food Network competition, and one of the chefs just no, she just fell apart. Something didn't work and she fell apart. And I remember the host and I were talking about it later because the host was also a pastry chef, and he said I would have gone to the vending machine and pulled something out of the vending machine at that point. Um, and that's always my attitude. You always keep going, and that's definitely a central theme in the book. So there are clips of this one, I think, online, but one of the competitions I did on Food Network was called Edible Cities. I had 8 hours and two assistants to build a city. I built San Francisco out of Rice Krispies, chocolate, and sugar. And it needed to
Ooh.
be at least 70% Rice Krispies. This thing was a monster. It was 3.5 feet tall, 5.5 feet wide. It was insane. Now, keep in mind, we had actually practiced this once before doing the competition.
Oh wow.
Um, and so we built Quake Tower. If you're not familiar with San Francisco, Coit Tower is kind of a block base, and then it has a tower. Think of like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, but not leaning as much as the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Except it was at the end of mine, but there's a spoiler. So when we made it ahead of time in a bakery environment, everything was fine. What we didn't factor in were all the massive studio lights.
Mm.
And they do, or the show Food Network Challenge, they had a live studio audience for that show. So I did not know that Coit Tower collapsed until I heard the audience gasp. And I turned, the studio lights had melted the base. And now keep in mind, we had a dowel as well. Okay, a wooden dowel, which is like a stake that you drive through wedding cakes. We had driven one of those into the center of it. Still, somehow, it managed to come off of the base and fall on the floor. Yeah, so that was rough. I did not win that challenge. I won numerous challenges on Food Network Challenge, but not that one. But I love that one because it was the teamwork. The three of us didn't give up. We worked together and we got Quake Tower back on top and finished our piece. So yeah, so that was definitely something that I thought about a lot. That was a very long answer for one question, but that
No,
was
it's
something I
good.
thought about a lot when writing the book. I mean, there were so many moments, whether it was in cooking competitions, working in restaurants or culinary school, that went into the book.
I wanted to ask, what is at the heart of Secret Spells and Chocolate? If you had to describe this book as a dish, how would you
Ooh.
describe it and why?
As a dish, because
Hmm.
I mean, because I would say it is friendship, but it's about never giving up. So if it's never giving up, I would say a Sunday. Of course, she has to say something sweet because she's a pastry chef. Because at the Sunday, there's always that little bit of fudge at the bottom, and you're going just trying to get scoop up that last little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm going to go with because
Ooh,
we've got the chocolate and we've got that never giving up. Got to get every last little.
I love that. I was going to describe this as a cinnamon roll.
Ooh, I want to hear
Yes, I was going to describe it as a cinnamon roll because, in my experience, that was the first pastry I feel like I've mastered and I've been practicing. But while reading your book, I couldn't help but think of the constant sense of like the pressure and the way you knead bread and how if you knead it too much, it's too tough. And if you
Yes.
don't do it enough, it won't rise. The yeast has to be bloomed the same way that certain elements in the story, without spoiling it, there are certain people who take time to open up, and
Yes.
it's not because they are mean people necessarily, is that they have their own stories and they have their own reasons why they're here, and there's a really big element of like friendship is at the heart of the story, communication. And I just feel like in a lot of ways, like the best thing about friendship is all these elements in a person, it all works together to create this beautiful combination of things when you think about it.
Yeah. So I'm
Yes.
going to go with Alyssa's response.
When you
Right
think
there.
about it,
Yes.
bread, butter, and cinnamon, it's like, oh, that sounds kind of plain. But if you give it time
Yes.
and you put in the effort and the practice, it can become something so beautiful. And this felt like that. This felt like multiple people coming together to create something beautiful. And that's what happens in this story. Oh, it's so
I love
good.
that. And if I get asked that question in another interview, I am going to use your analogy. I will give you credit for it, but
Please do.
I am going to use it. It was
Go
great.
ahead. How my thing is, how can you, the same way I personally feel, you can't steal a recipe in my mind because nothing's new under the sun. Everything has been done at least once, but you can definitely give credit. And for me, it's like, well, reading your book, I had images in my mind of the experience of watching British Bake Off, that warmth and that camaraderie, and it is a competition, but there's a certain level of humanity and compassion and love for cooking.
Yeah.
And you have the same feeling when you cook with your grandmother, you have the same feeling when you cook with your mom. Like there's something about the patience that's required to master a dish, and then when you cook it alone, you do it in your own way. So while reading your book, I was like, you follow these characters as they come into their own, and it's before you know it, the book's over, and it's just like, where's the rest? So I just, it was such a
Hopefully there will
gift.
be more.
Yes, and I'm so excited to read where these characters go in the future. And as we near the end of the episode, I was really hoping that you could share a quote from Secret Spells and Chocolate.
Yes, I will. And before we do that, if we have a quick minute, because you're holding up the ARC,
I
but
am.
yes, I'm so excited about. So the hardback copies came yesterday, and my daughter discovered something. So first of all, it's just beautiful like this.
Ooh.
But there was something about this that I was not expecting. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
I'm gonna take the sleeve off. Yes.
Whoa.
Look at this hardback cover.
It is so
What-
beautiful.
Do you see what the back says? What was the quote
At
that
the world's greatest magical cooking school, risks matter just as much as
Yes.
whisk. Oh my
Isn't this
gosh.
just gorgeous?
It is beautiful. For folks who are listening, the hardcover is this lavender color. It has all these icons of bubbles and knives, and it's
The knife is
absolutely
important.
gorgeous. Oh my gosh. And it looks like a magical cookbook, which I adore.
Yes.
Oh
And
my
the book, of
gosh.
course, does have some recipes in the back too. So even though it's not a cookbook, we had to, of course, add in a few recipes. So
That is so fun. Oh my gosh. For anyone who wants to cook some of the dishes that may be referenced in the story, I love that there's
yeah.
recipes in the back. That is so fun.
Transparent pie. That is a fun one for the
Ooh.
holiday season. I'm terrible with this. You see, look at this.
Oh, what's the dish?
Oh, the transparent pie. You know the one. Yes, you know the
I do.
yeah.
I do. Oh, I've always wanted to eat foods from these magical stories I've read, and it's very rare that they actually have recipes. So I love that you implemented that in the story. That is
Yes.
so creative.
And I don't think that the ARC had this in it, but there's a QR code in the hardback that will link to a pie reading guide.
Oh, that is so fun. The
Yes.
ARC did have some recipes in the back, which I'm like, I don't think it had the QR code, but it did
Mhm.
have the recipe for Good
Yes.
Fortune chocolate cookies, which is so fun. And it also has fantasy fudge, the secret sauce. And I'm just telling you, listeners, like, this is so, so cute. I love cooking. So this is just absolutely amazing. And I can't wait for everyone to get your book. Oh my gosh. So, yes, if we can
Thank
hear a
you.
little bit from your own words, I love having authors read from their book. So,
Yeah. Well, you
my
said
favorite part.
like something, so it's a small piece, but it's something that I love because I feel like this resonates with the magic that I feel goes into cooking beyond the book.
Mm.
So, Sylvie's mom had once said that every recipe told a story, a moment in time, a person, a place, woven together with a series of ingredients. Um, so that I really like that line. Of course, I'm taking it out of context, so you don't know where it's going, but it's something because I love to cook recipes that were made by my grandmothers, and they have passed away. But when I make certain recipes and I make them the right way, I am transported. And I am transported to those moments and to that kitchen. And that person is next to me again. So there you go. That's one of my favorite sentences.
That is so beautiful. And that's magical. The fact that butter, sugar, flour, it can transport you back to a time when you're around a loved one, like they're there with you. And that's truly magical. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you for
Well,
sharing
thank
your
you for
story with
having me. You
me.
had some obstacles today, so I greatly appreciate the fact that you rallied and made this happen.
Oh my gosh, no, I would have regretted it. My internet went out, listeners, but luckily, my girlfriend's hotspot saved me. Thank God.
Yeah.
So
Thank
we're happy for that.
you.
And honestly, I just feel so grateful to have had the opportunity to read your story. Secret Spells and Chocolate was one of my favorite books of 2025. And I know that everyone is going to absolutely adore your book. If you don't mind me asking, where can everyone find your story and where can they find you?
You can find the story Amazon, Barnes and Noble, your favorite indie bookshop. I have links to those on my website, marisachurchill.com. And I also have an events page there because I do
Ooh.
have some really fun and exciting events coming up, not just around the Bay Area, but all around the country. So check it out and maybe I can see some of you somewhere.
Oh my gosh, that is so fun. I'm
Yeah.
going to link the author's Instagram below, as well as where to find this amazing book. Also, I adore that folks can read this book at any age. I love that. This can be read with your teenage daughter, with your sons, with your friends. Teachers can read this with their students. It is so, so cute. And I can't wait to see everyone whip up some of these recipes because
Thank you.
that's going to be fun. Thank you for coming on the podcast. You're such a light, and I'm so grateful you were here. Everyone who listened, please go support her book, follow this wonderful author, and make some of these recipes, okay? Cooking, anyone can cook. If you put your mind to it, you can definitely do it. So,
Yeah.
yes, please leave a like, subscribe, follow on Spotify, leave a nice little rating. And I all hope that you have a wonderful, fantastic day.